Hello everybody, Fletch here bringing you a review of Sunday's two Premier League fixtures that pitted both Merseyside clubs against both Manchester clubs. We begin with Everton versus Manchester City, a match in which Ronald Koeman's men won 4-0 thanks to goals from Romelu Lukaku, Kevin Mirallas, Tom Davies and substitute Lookman. This game further highlighted City's problems, both as a team and as individuals, and it's concerning if you're a Manchester City supporter. However, for Everton, it was a great performance by all, especially the young goal scorers in both Davies and Lookman. We begin with Everton's future as a talking point. Everton's future on the pitch does look bright. They are one of the better clubs for bringing through Premier League young local talent in the Premier League, and especially in Tom Davies and Lookman, as we saw on Sunday. Davies seems to have a bright future ahead of him. He ran the show for Everton, and despite his young age and millions of pounds worth of players in the City squad, he seemed to overshadow them brilliantly, scoring a well-taken goal in the process. It was also a deserved goal, by the way, I should add. Lookman, on the other hand, despite having less time than Davies to make an impact, made an instant impact by chipping in with a goal that was well taken and through the legs of Claudio Bravo, a goalkeeper who is becoming a real problem for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. Regardless, the two players are very young and have a bright future ahead of them. And I'm interested to see in a few years, as I'm pretty sure the Everton supporters are, how this young team moulds and develops under Ronald Koeman. He's a manager that's proved himself at Southampton, and it'll be very interesting to see how they develop into a good, young and energetic side for possibly challenging for maybe even Champions League places in the near future. Right now, the Champions League picture does seem a little bit crowded, but maybe in a year or two, maybe a little bit more, under Ronald Koeman, it could be a real possibility. Another positive to take from the game, if you're an Everton fan, is Lukaku. Romelu Lukaku had a standout performance. He played the perfect centre-forward game. He was a real handful for the Manchester City defence. He absolutely tortured them throughout the game. Every time he got the ball, he brought others into play. He held the ball up well. And when he was in that mood, he is unstoppable. He's unplayable. He scored his 12th goal in the season in the process, and just had a really good game. Something that I hope to see more of him on a consistent basis. The only frustrating thing I'd say from an Everton point of view will be the inconsistency. Manchester City, despite having their unpredictable season, they're not a team that you go into as favourites half the time. They're a team that on paper probably should be winning the majority of their matches, and currently that's not happening. But against this Everton team, Everton are also unpredictable. They'll go on to win against a team that they shouldn't beat, and go on to lose a team that they probably should beat. For example, next week they've got a game against Crystal Palace. I'm not saying they might lose that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they drop points when they've won this game, which on paper they probably might not have had a chance of winning. I'm not saying... but as far as Manchester City is concerned, they are struggling right now. They have individual performances, they have a team performance issue. I don't know whether it's because Guardiola possibly underestimated the Premier League. That's open for debate. But right now, their team issues, they basically just include that they've got... Now it's become a race for fourth to stay in the top four rather than a race for the Premier League. That's becoming a real issue. The league seems to be beyond them now. We're in January, and I know that seems like there's plenty of points still to be won and lost because there's a long way to go still. But it seems now that they've got to be looking over their shoulder rather than ahead of them. They are now, I believe it's 10 points behind of the current leaders Chelsea. And Manchester United are closing the gap behind them. So it's really, really important that they begin to be more realistic about their goals for this season. They also have an aging squad. I looked at their squad and you've got players like Zabaleta, Kolarov, Sagna, Clichy, Yaya Toure. Even for how good David Silva is, he's not getting any younger. They're all over 30 years old at least. There's a lot of... They've got to go through a redevelopment stage, and I think that in the summer you're going to see plenty of outgoings, especially with the names I just mentioned, in order to bring in some youthful players. We talked earlier about how Everton are bringing through some young local talent. I don't really see that for City, and I see them throwing money at the problem again, bringing through young talent like they did in the summer. They brought through several young talented players in the summer in the previous transfer window, but there seems to be no solution to local talent coming through, and it just seems that if they are to bring in any English talent, it will be through going out and searching for it in other clubs. There are obviously some young English talent coming through the City ranks, but like I say, that's being thrown money at the problem. Players like Sterling, Iheanacho, there's Sane as well, to name just a few. But and the John Stones, who I'll get onto in a moment. But it's really worrying that there's no local talent coming through. I mentioned John Stones there. He had another poor performance, another costly error. And I'll also bring in Claudio Bravo, who was going to be another point into this. But he kind of falls into the same category. These are the two I've picked out. John Stones, another costly error, cost a goal. And Claudio Bravo, he's a player that at the moment, he was brought in because he can play the ball. Guardiola likes to play the ball out from the back. And maybe in Spain, it works for them too. It doesn't quite work in the Premier League, especially with all these managers that are now using counter-pressing as their primary tactic. Bravo's shot stopping at the moment is becoming a real problem. He's not comfortable when the ball's in the air. He's not comfortable with the closing down. And it's only going to be a matter of time before he's completely caught out again. And every time he receives the ball, you're just expecting another goal to happen for the opposition of Manchester City, because he just doesn't seem that confident at all. How long before Guardiola either recalls Hart, if he can do that, or decides to give Caballero a chance in goal? I don't know. I mean, you've seen it with Liverpool. Karius was brought in to replace Mignolet as number one. Now, Karius didn't have a great start, so what did Klopp do? Klopp took him out, he put Mignolet back in, and at the moment, as I'll get on to later, Mignolet is actually playing pretty well. Does Guardiola do that here? I'm not sure. I think I like the way he's sticking by his future number one goalkeeper. I'm just not sure, because he's cost City so many points this season, and as I said before, the race of the Premier League for them looks over, and now it's a race to stay in the Premier League, in the top four. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes as far as the future of the goalkeeping situation. Next we'll move on to the Man United-Liverpool game, a game that finished 1-1 thanks to a James Milner penalty for the away side, and for Man United a header from Zlatan Ibrahimovic got them a well-earned point. Now, the one player that was at the centre of near enough everything that occurred at the game was Paul Pogba, the £89 million summer signing. He had a very eventful first half. He was pretty quiet in the second half, but he had a pretty eventful first half. He missed a golden opportunity to open the scoring for Jose Mourinho's men. He was basically at fault for many dangerous set pieces that Liverpool had because he failed to deal with Dejan Lovren from them, even though he was put to mark, which I'm pretty surprised that after like a couple, he wasn't taken off marking Lovren and was replaced by someone else, because that would have seemed to have been the right thing to do. And if Liverpool's set pieces had been a little bit better, they could have actually scored a goal or two from that. Probably picking out Lovren more. However, on one set piece though, Pogba did give away the penalty that James Milner converted due to a very stupid and I'd say, if you're a United fan, annoying handball decision. So he gave away the penalty. He also took down Jordan Henderson in the Liverpool penalty area from a corner that the referee failed to notice. And his positioning, he just doesn't seem where to position himself, especially in the two in midfield, as it turned out to be in the second half. A debate that was quite heated on Sky Sports News. He just... The strange thing is that you can tell there is some sort of talent there. Is it 89 million pounds worth of talent? At the moment, no. There is some talent there.